I'm Don Manfredi, Associate Director of Ventures at Innovation Partnerships at the University of Michigan, where we amplify the impact of research. I'm here today with Ann Partington, Commercial Program Director for the MTRAC Advanced Transportation Program. How you doing, Ann?
Great, Don.
So what are we going to cover today?
We're going to talk about the MTRAC Advanced Transportation Program, and we'll go over some key highlights of the RFP that is available right now to potential applicants. We'll cover the timeline as well as some program details. We'll cover what support is available, the value to the researcher and their team, and we'll share some examples of projects that have been awarded.
So let's start at the beginning. What is MTRAC Advanced Transportation?
So let's start with the acronym. MTRAC stands for Michigan Translational Research and Commercialization. And this hub is one of 5 and is focused on advanced transportation. This is a 1-year program that accelerates commercialization of high potential early stage translational technology applications related to transportation and/or mobility. The program provides a range of funding, so this can be up to $100,000 in funding, as well as structured support through mentors and other teams. All awarded projects do require a cost share from the investigator or institution. The program also, Don, reinforces the state of Michigan's Michigan Strategic Fund, MSF, and the MEDC, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, as well as the University of Michigan's commitment to use entrepreneurship as a catalyst for economic growth in our state of Michigan and beyond.
Can you give us a little bit of an idea of the program timeline?
Absolutely. So on this slide, there are 2 timelines shown. The top half we'll start with first, and that is the proposal timeline. The idea here was to provide researchers a what to expect in a visual snapshot. The RFP is ongoing and is open through April 18th. We strongly recommend that researchers reach out to us for an ideation session to talk through proposal ideas and proposal development. We are available multiple times throughout this time period to aid. Both the proposal and an associated budget template, and there are 4 budget templates online, are due April 18th in the InfoReady system, and we will provide that link as well. Semi-finalists will be notified and invited to pitch around May 15th. They'll be invited to that. And that occurs post the semi-finalist selection, which occurs on May 12th. The pitch development then occurs from May 15th, the notification period, to June 21st. And then there will be a pitch presentation to the Oversight Committee Board, and those awardees will be notified on June 26th. So it's actually the Friday before, which is June 23rd, that pitch presentation will take place. The second half of this slide is the awarded project timeline. So those researchers that are awarded MTRAC funding for the 2023-2024 period there will then be a research administration financial final review of paperwork that takes place through June through August. The projects this year will be kicked off a little bit later, September 1st, to help the PIs align with the start of the school year and to also have talent to support their teams. There will be monthly project check-ins that are ongoing. There are 4 reports that are due during this time period, and I don't want anyone to feel intimidated by the reports. They're about a 2.5-page template from the state, and they build upon each other. So once the first one is done, which also has a lot of just general information about the project and their team, each time it's a refinement. So that first report is due in October. We recognize it's very early in the project cycle. Then there is a midterm presentation to the board, which is in February of 2024. So this gives the teams, really 5 strong months to get through their initial projects, 5.5 months, and then present their project progress as well as, make any requests for support that is needed at that time. The second report, a revision of the first one, is due in March. And then the projects are slated to wrap up on August 31st of 2024. There is a little bit of flexibility. Every once in a while, a really great development is discovered and a little bit more time is needed. In the end, all of the projects and the reporting must wrap up by the end of the year. So the third report is due September 30th of 2024. And then the following and then in October of 2024, there is a final report due and report closure. Again, with any caveats for specific project circumstances. And we've put a note there that the final report is due 60 days post closure.
So where does this program fit into the technology development curve?
So Don, what we see here is the development curve with the dreaded valley of death. And the goal of this program is to really provide a very strong and structured jumpstart for researchers and their teams for high potential early stage projects, typically in the TRL level 2 to 4. The goal is to accelerate them approximately 3 levels. And at a very minimum, there must be an invention disclosure on the technology and the opportunity that has been identified by a licensing team to secure future IP.
So how does this program serve the PIs and their teams?
Some of the key focus areas of the program are to advance the early stage translational research technology development and also establish technology and commercialization milestones. And then those are supported throughout the one-year project. It's also to advance market adoption readiness to support industry and also de-risk. How some of the ways that we do that are by making sure that there are connections to industry partners, looking at potential prototype or pilot opportunities in real world use cases, as well as testing of things such as user interface of software, etc. So we really look to make those connections. We provide high touch support for university researchers and their teams and help them to develop follow-on funding and a future commercialization path forward. The last thing, and very important as well, is to catalyze the input of our oversight committee board experts. So these folks have a very vast venture capital or industry, R&D, commercialization background. And in addition, there are also entrepreneurial ecosystem partners that serve as well on the board.
Can you give us some specific examples?
Some specific examples of project focus areas are product roadmaps, industry communications, establishing IP, the business model, licensing opportunities, etc. I'm not going to go through this in a lot of detail, but it's not a prescription. So we really look broadly at what the needs of the specific technology and team are and help them that way.
Let's talk impact metrics.
So everyone loves metrics, so we'll focus on a few numbers, but we'll talk about intangible benefits as well. So over the course of the program since 2014, there have been 27 startups that have come out of this program. In addition, the program has awarded $6 million in grant funding. Now that includes the sponsored side that comes from the MEDC as well as the university cost share side as well. These teams have gone on to a collective and very impressive $96 million in follow-on funding that they have achieved over the course of time. And then also let's highlight some of the more intangible, but perhaps just as valuable benefits. The first one is to really be part of the entrepreneurial innovation ecosystem, connecting to other PIs, understanding the different resources that are available and having a strong structured team of people who have expertise in this space to support the team along the journey, including the team development itself. The second icon down on the right-hand side is about knowledge and awareness. There are so many fantastic entrepreneurial and innovation research and development funding opportunities out there at different programming, whether they're at the state, federal, local, or other opportunities. And so By creating awareness and providing our PIs this knowledge, it is hoped that we can be helpful to them that way as well. And also just general knowledge about the commercialization startup process. And then lastly, we serve as a bridge. This is just one more example of an intangible benefit. So we bring in ecosystem partners. In our state, we have a very wide accelerator hub network. And so when appropriate, we try to connect our PIs with all types of different entrepreneurial partners, whether they're within our state or outside, that can really help them along that commercialization path.
So what are the eligibility requirements for this?
The technology must be the subject of an invention disclosure from a Michigan-based university or nonprofit. That must be a translational research technology that has a high potential of commercial viability. So what does that mean? This is a subjective and competitive grant proposal period. So it is rated by the Oversight Committee Board, evaluated for commercial viability. So they're going to take a really close look at those commercialization and technical milestones that are in the proposals. The technology must be available for licensing in the application field of the proposal and geography. So there cannot be any existing license anywhere in the world already, or it would not be applicable. The applicant PI must be from a university or nonprofit research institution located in the state of Michigan. And of course, there is a lot more information available, as well as the budget templates online at our InfoReady site, which you can reach from our MTRAC Advanced Transportation site.
So do you have any tips and tricks for creating a robust proposal?
Yes, so it is very important to have a novel idea, and it has to be a novel idea for the space of application, the beachhead market. And so one of the questions that always comes up is this a problem that needs to be solved? Not just as well as, is it a problem that can be solved? Is there a need? What benchmarking is out there on existing solutions? And also, what is the business case around bringing a new technology in to solve that problem? It also needs to be scalable. So whether it's hardware, software, or a hardware software system, as the volume, capacity, number of users increases, is there a clear and sustainable margin of profitability revenue that is going to come in to sustain the commercialization path? The second one is ongoing customer discovery. All of the projects that are awarded have some degree of prior or customer discovery to the proposals coming in. We very strongly recommend the I-Core programs. There are 3, the shortest of which is just 4 weeks, and we've provided the link there. It's free and available to all of our researchers, and we find that every awarded project has had some customer discovery. I-Core programs are not required for an MTRAC proposal, but we certainly recommend them. Also, the ability to secure IP. If an IP cannot be secured, and that's why we request at a minimum that the technology has an invention disclosure, then it's not eligible. Some forms of IP are patents, as well as copyright or trademark, etc. So please check with your local licensing office to ensure that you do have, at a minimum, a licensing invention disclosure. Then the beachhead market opportunity must be tied to transportation and mobility. So that's your first to market. However, it can also be applicable to other areas. So we had a flexible foam, bio-based foam application that had several different types of transportation applications, but that particular project also had applications well outside of the transportation space, which is fine. But for proposal perspective, the beachhead market must be tied to transportation and mobility. And lastly, the invention, the translational technology must be pre-startup. The IP must fall under the university, not the individual, and there cannot be a right of a first option or exclusivity in place.
So if you could give us some examples of eligible technologies, that would probably help.
Sure. And we'll share a list of the awards as well in another slide or two here on 2022 awardees. So first of all, this is industry agnostic, so not centered just to automotive, but can be air, sea, land, etc. And we've outlined some of the key areas. So the case technologies, anything related to connectivity, connected vehicles, software that can be monetized. Electrification, of course, is huge. And anything in the battery space and electrification, and that includes the circular economy. So things such as battery recycling, second use, charging technology, etc. Renewable energy, we've had green hydrogen project as an example, infrastructure tech, communications, V2X, advanced driver assistance systems, edge and corner cases are a big prohibitor of these, the ADAS space. So things that can relate to sticking points in those areas can be great project submissions. Manufacturing solutions, we have an awardee this year that is looking at optimizing, vibration and efficiency and output from cobots that are supporting manufacturing lines. And then supply chain solutions, which we all know this has been an area that's highly disrupted, and there's all kinds of different technologies from understanding vulnerabilities in the supply chain space to looking at opportunities for improvements in logistics. So those are a few areas, and there are more as well.
So are there any benefits of just going through the application process itself?
We have put in some key communications to PIs that we think provide value in the application process. So the first one is both on the written as well as the pitch process. If the researcher moves on to that stage, they will receive feedback from the MTRAC team along the way. They will receive feedback from the board, which includes our industry venture capital experts, as well as our entrepreneurial ecosystem partners. Their teams will have access to industry reports and market research that is not just available to everyone that we will provide, our team can provide, as well as proposal development support from the licensing team, mentors and residents and MTRAC team. And these proposals can go on even post MTRAC and help be a springboard for applications into other grants as well. Pitch development support. So there's a lot of coaching and pitch help available. And again, it's always done in a safe space. We try to meet each PI where they're at and provide the level of support that they would like. So it's done on a pull basis. It's very informal, and we really aim to be as accessible as possible to every PI and their team. And then lastly, of course, connections to commercialization program partners. That begins right in the proposal development process, and we're happy to continue that throughout.
So I know you touched on this earlier, but what are the other benefits once an application is awarded to a PI?
Other other benefits for awardees. So this is teams that go on to be funded are, number one, of course, the funding itself. So they can receive up to 100,000 plus on their award. That does include the corresponding cost share, and that is based on each institution's cost share percentage. So that's different for different institutions in the state of Michigan. Of course, they continue to receive support from the team, which I talked about before. There is also the opportunity during that one-year path to look at what does the go forward plan look like for the next couple years in terms of perhaps grant funding, in terms of perhaps startup formation, and what does that fundraising path look like. We also work hard to provide referrals as well as coaching on working with different types of industry partners, consortium opportunities to participate in, as well as the team. We know this is not going to be a solopreneur journey, and so we really try to help the PI think through the research, the resources that they need, including, very important is team members, human capital to support the growth of their commercialization process.
So is this just for automotive applications?
So I will reiterate that this is not just for automotive applications. We are talking about anything related to air, sea, land. We hope even beyond those frontiers someday. And we really encourage each PI to come out and explore whether this program could be a fit for their technology and for their team.
So can you tell us a little bit about some of the previously awarded projects?
Yes, and we will list the last couple years on the website as well, but here's a snapshot of what was awarded in 2022 to 2023. You can see here there is everything from robotics related, efficiency of robotics, to motion sickness prevention, to how drones can be used to collect vulnerabilities in, for example, in this case, on a rail crossing. There's also the simulation space, which is a really important space for technology and product development. So we have a tool that's being developed this year for design and certification in the composite space. We've got a line of sight, low power, high data rate communication link. So we're talking about information exchanges. There are a lot of vulnerabilities. So what are the different types of data exchange opportunities and technologies that are out there? What are some additional or redundant systems that might be needed? We have a cyber supply chain risk assessment and mitigation tool that's being developed for a beachhead for automotive. We've got a manufacturing project to reduce quench distortion and to really improve upon lightweighting. And then lastly, we have a project in the connected vehicle space with a adaptive in-vehicle virtual assistant.
So this really sounds like a fantastic program. Where can I find out more information?
So the best way to get more information is to head to the Innovation Partnerships Advanced Transportation MTRAC site. From there, there are links to look at the 2023 application documents, proposal, budget templates, etc., as well as contact information. And so please reach out to us. We're happy to ideate with you, explain more details, and or whatever additional support might be needed for a prospective PI in this space.
Fantastic. Well, Ann, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us today about this. And we look forward to getting some really fantastic proposals into the system soon.
Thank you, Don.